Hello and welcome, Legionnaires, back to Legions of Miniatures. We're resuming our meat series today, and I'm joined now by Matt.
Hello there.
So, Matt is, he's been mentioned in a previous video. This is a man who allowed me to really get to grips and enjoy my Necrons for the first time by fighting his Tau a few
Best part
years
of
ago.
that battle was when you managed to, with Triarch Praetorians, reflect a hammerhead's railgun shot into it,
Nope,
killing it.
I don't own Triarch Praetorians. I think you're thinking of the wrong one
Bugger.
there.
I fought a few different Necron players over the years, as you can probably guess from that.
Our number is Legion. Our name is Death.
Yeah.
So, today, Matt, I've brought you on as a guest to talk about your Sisters of Battle.
Yes, the
So,
Order of the Butchered Lily.
the Order of the Butchered Lily. Fantastic. So, we'll just dive straight into it. Do you want to tell us what really makes the Order of the Butchered Lily unique from the other Sisters of Battle out there?
Originally, they were an Order of the Sacred Rose sect, and they were assigned to defend a lily garden, supposedly blessed by the Emperor himself, but of course, this is the way of things, they have no evidence of that. Pride of the garden was several white lilies that were believed to be the last in the galaxy. They failed in this during the events of the 13th Black Crusade. It wasn't Abaddon. They're not even sure at any point because their records were destroyed. The whole planet was overrun by chaos, and hence the name Order of the Butchered Lily. And they are now designated as a penitent order, meaning that they have a far higher percentage of penitent engines and sisters repentia to try and forget the emperor to forgive their supposed sins.
If it was overrun by chaos, are we going to see the opportunity for perhaps a chaos spawn made of lilies?
Possibly, if ever I can get done with the modelling. Still expanding this army after all.
Okay, so what sort of inspired you to make this butchered lily sect?
Originally, it was just after I got bored of playing guard for the first time, and I was looking for a new army. I didn't want to do Space Marines, as in the club meta they're just overrun with Marines, and I fell upon Sisters of Battle and started reading their lore, and I just fell in love with that. For example, the fact that Sisters of Battle only exist because the Adeptus Munitatorum, the church, they're not allowed men at arms, so they just decided to have women at arms. And
Seems
obviously, there's a lot
reasonable.
more if you look into it, but I just love that sense of irony, and it made me fall in love with the army, especially just the sort of grim, dark feeling of you've got all these nuns with guns.
So how about the paint scheme? We've not seen any images of any models yet, but you told me a little bit about the inspiration you got from this paint scheme.
Yes, I was struggling to figure out how I wanted to paint them, and then when the 8th edition indexes came out, there was this piece of artwork just before them. This is actually meant to be a canoness of the Order of the Sacred Rose, but I've never liked the black cloaks they had. But I've always known I wanted to do white armor, and this just captured the mind instantly. And all my troops are painted with red cloaks. The main difference here is the fact that the insides of the cloaks, the inner linings as such, are painted differently to represent different ranks
Oh, really? Okay.
nowadays to differentiate. So you've got your special weapon troopers and heavy weapon; they all have cream linings to their robes,
Okay.
and Sister Superior and sisters who carry simulacrums have purple to represent an elevated rank above everyone, and canonesses get to pick what colors they have on their robes.
So no sort of Canoness Jafina and her Technicolor Dreamcoat.
No, each robe has just two linings to it, each with a different color potentially.
Okay. So when it comes down to the red, is that a sort of is it sort of more on the sort of purple, sort of a wine stain color, or is it more of a bloody red?
It's much brighter, more bloody red than the winey red you see in this photo. And my guns are black and silver rather than this black and grey you see. But as an inspiration point, it really just clicked, and I now have a full army. Whereas before, when I had this photo, I more had a skirmish level force.
Okay. Well, it's much. I quite like the armor. sort of being that silver and then that bold red color. I think red is such a fantastically striking color when it comes down to painting miniatures. It just catches the eye immediately.
It's also worth mentioning that when I was originally collecting sisters, they were the old metal models, and so you couldn't, as I have done on the plastic ones, do the inner robe linings as easily. And so this, just having the red, because I'd always hated the black, I felt it was overused, a black and white color scheme, and this just sparked it and made it click. So while
Effect-
I still occasionally field metals, it's all plastics now, though.
Effectively, your Sisters of Battle color scheme is just my Necron color scheme, but on living, breathing people as opposed to zombie robots.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so what if we looked into your wish list? So, is there anything that you'd want to add to your army? It could be anything you like. So, for anything from a rule you hope GW would implement, all the way over to that dream model that you're pining for.
Ignoring the obvious answer of the latest release teaser, the Palinate, which I look forward to getting, I desperately need to add a second Exorcist to my force, preferably with the conflagration rockets for long range anti infantry
Oh, yeah,
firepower.
that's your present exorcist.
Yes, this
Do you
is
wanna
the
go ahead?
yeah this is the Litany of the Redeemer. This is one of my most powerful pieces, and generally the piece people hate and take out first. It's currently in the anti armor configuration, um, and it's one of those things that can be as reliable as you want it to be, or you roll all ones and don't get as many shots as you want. This is a trait with all exorcists, and it's rather amusing.
Has this done anything particularly?
The most notable thing this one's done actually is first turn wiping a Land Raider off a board,
Ooh,
and this is an
nice.
8th edition. Um, then proceeded in that game to wipe two more vehicles off, but in the game after that, it then just didn't hit anything and was taken out very easily. But I love it all the same because it's one of those things that will either achieve or be a great distraction, and I love distractions in my armies.
Brings a little bit of orcs into the sisters.
Oh, definitely.
Okay. So, do you have a particular pride of your army at the moment?
Yes, although somewhat interestingly, it's unbuilt at the moment. It will be the Triumph of St. Catherine when I'm done with that. I'm currently, I know I'm doing the whole base in a marble style. You can see some of which on this tank, but at a much grander scale. Trying to get a cream marble rather than the white marble you often see in some of their stuff.
Let's see if I can zoom us in on this tank a little bit. Which bit should I be looking for on this
If you
marble?
just look at the part around the gun at the moment, the hull bolter and the
Where are we?
statues to
Hull bolter down
yeah,
here.
yeah, that is actually similar a to how I would have it. Obviously, though, because I've that's being so small, you can't make out much detail on this base. It's massive. It would have a bit more than just the two colors you've got. The whole idea here is that they've got actual statues on their tank, which is highly just unrealistic, but that's so sisters.
Well, it might be unrealistic for the modern day, but in the 41st millennium, when faith is rewarded, perhaps a statue is more realistic.
Yes, and the final achievement for this tank came actually this Sunday, where it managed to deny an Orc Weird Boy psychic power.
I am a complete novice to anything Sisters of Battle. Do tell me how that happens.
Sisters, the whole army that is sisters, so this doesn't include certain other units in the codex, has an ability to, on a single d6, deny a psychic power. But there is a conviction you can get, and there's ways to get them. I won't spoil that for you. But I ended up getting the one that adds 3 to that test. The orc rolled a 7 on his psychic test, and this rolled an 8, which gained me the army unique resource of miracle dice,
Fantastic.
which are brilliant things.
Yeah, I seem to recall some of the stuff about Miracle Dice from the Warhammer community um, releases. But I think it's going to be very, very exciting to potentially in the near future. Probably less likely in the current circumstance, but it would be really nice to have a game against your Sisters of Battle and really see who are the true inheritors of the galaxy.
It's not you, obviously. You're dirty Xenos.
Mm, I don't know. I mean, we've already inherited it. You're just on the legal battle for getting it back.
True.
You just weren't happy with how the lawyers divvied up the inheritance, and sorry, they did it correctly. Imperium gets
Well,
nothing.
no, it's the Eldar. They never do anything correctly.
That is true. We can agree that Eldar are wrong.
Should we hold hands and go on a crusade against the Eldar then?
Ooh, I don't know about that. I'll just have to check
Oh,
with my with Zarek about whether or not we're still happy to team up with people who like Sanguinius. Okay, so you've also given me for this video a picture of your Penitent Engines. Is there anything you want to discuss about those guys?
yes, these Penitent Engines. I've already forgotten what designation I gave them, but they are one of the core units in my army. I've seen around a lot of places on the internet that tell you these things are rubbish. Do not believe them. You have to use these as a distraction unit. But if you do that and your opponent ignores them, they will kill everything in the backfield. Um, I've had games where they've been focused down, and while it's disappointing, it's allowed the rest of the army to get into position and wipe out the table. And I've had games where they've been ignored, killed 3 tanks and 4 infantry squads.
So they're very much a
Uh,
unit where you need to put them in your list knowing that those are going to be sunk points, but the hope is
yes.
that you can get the enemy to sink more points into them, and if they don't, then hey,
The
happy
key
days.
here is how cheap each Penitent Engine is. In 8th edition, they were 56 points, or 3 power,
Okay.
each. In ninth, they're still 3 power, but they've gone down to 50 points due to cost reductions. Each of them has a 5-up feel no pain save. Those of you who've played old editions will know what that means. Those of you who haven't, just look it up. It's you know the rule. Which means that even though they're quite cheap, they can take a lot more firepower than they feasibly should.
Yeah, being
And
able
these,
to ignore any wound or mortal wound on a 5+ is really nice. Just
yeah.
for anyone.
And these guys also, upon a charge, get to re-roll those heavy flamers it's got. They're 2 separate ones. You might notice these are the old metal ones. I much prefer these models, despite it actually giving you gameplay detriments. The bigger base size, the bigger model, makes them easier to shoot off the board.
Okay. And I guess that's just an extra tease for the, oh, go on, you know you want to shoot me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. People love shooting at these things and then. Well, let's put it this way. I had a Land Raider once shoot 4 las cannon shots into it. I saved all of them.
This will obviously
And
be less of a useful tactic against more level-headed players, and anyone who's now watching this video having you just told them that these are
oh,
distractions.
you cannot ignore these. You either have to shoot them off the board or have to let them do untold damage to your backline. Consider the fact that just a pair of them can, in theory, though it's unlikely, kill a knight in a turn with a correct stratagem played. They are very nasty.
Okay. So, the real question is going to be in our game, should I shoot these with Doomsday Arcs or Doom Scythes?
Well, I don't know what
Hmm.
Doom Scythes do, if I
Well,
remember, can't
uh,
remember. But Doomsday Arcs, we had that last game on Sunday. Yeah, they survived the Doomsday Arcs.
that sounds like bad shooting from the Doomsday Arcs. How many do
Oh no,
you
the
run in a
Doomsday Arc
unit?
hit and wounded with everything, and did max damage, but it either armor saved or got, saved by the thing.
Ah, damn, feel no pains. Well, I think we'll have to see if I can do a better show in the future, and hopefully that will be up on the channel.
Hopefully.
So, is there anything you want to discuss about your Sisters of Battle before we conclude today?
I think we've covered quite about everything, honestly.
Fantastic. In that
Unless there's
case,
anything else you want to know.
well, I think we've covered everything from my end. So, thank you for coming on today, Matt, and thank you for sharing with us your Sisters of Battle. And I think
You're very welcome.
Yeah, and we'll go ahead and sign off now. So goodbye from me. And you're allowed to say goodbye as well.
Goodbye from me.
And we will see you next time.
I said goodbye.
Oh gosh, there's such a horrendous lag on this recording. Let's do that again. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
We'll see you next time.